Alright, we're recording.
Alright guys, we're going to talk about fasting in the cell. Just talk about what the cell really is. Does the cell get nourished, or is it, what would you say, already...
Is it self-sustaining, or does it need outside source to survive and live and thrive?
Okay, so I'll start with what I wrote today. Title, Physical Perfection. Quote unquote, we eat to live and we eat to die. If we eat to live, how can we eat to die? If we eat to die, how can we eat to live? So the human body is a mass of trillions of cells, all which originated from one parent cell. All organs and structures that constitute the body as a whole, like the brain, the skin, the bones, the teeth, the blood, the cartilage, come from the original parent cell by a process of cell division and subdivision from one parent cell. This is actually stated in all anatomy textbooks today, though it may be worded very strangely now.
Because they obfuscate. They don't want to make it simple. They want to put superfluous shit in there so that way they can be the expert and have to tell you what they can tell you in 10 words. They will take 10,000 and they will confuse and fucking gaslight the shit out of you.
Oh, yeah. So this shows that the parent cell, which is not made from extraneous material like a house, is endowed with an infinite intelligence. Cells prove this by their work that they possess a prevision of the future structure and its purpose.
Meaning that that single parent cell, when it's dividing and it's creating organs and everything else, it already knows what the fuck it's doing, right?
Exactly. Let me turn this brightness up a little bit. Alright, our bodies are built of cells, trillions of them, which these cells are composed of molecules, molecules composed of atoms, atoms composed of electrons, which are nothing more than whirling centers of force in the ether. Electrons do not eat, atoms do not eat, molecules do not eat, and cells do not eat. So the body being composed of these self-existent, self-sustaining cells, as are all other objects, everything you see like material, and even things you don't see like the air, are composed of atoms as the body's cells are. With this being said, man should have no more need for food than a stone or a star, as these are also constituted of atoms, the same as our body cells.
It's so simple. It's so simple. Like that's your science class, guys. There's science class. That should be taught in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, you know. But no, they fill you with all this space shit and all these fucking mathematical formulae and all this ego. And he just said it right there. Think about it. You come from a single fucking cell that duplicates and makes itself into a human body. Every organ, everything it needs to survive. And what we're doing is when we are born whole with those cells as cells, we don't need anything. We are whole, self-sustaining. The cells in us are self-sustaining. Instead of just being allowed to do our thing, we are inundated with poisons, toxins, and, you know, again, taught that we don't know, that we need something, that we're not enough, that without this we'll die.
Cells
It's guys, this is bamboozlement on the highest level.
100%. Cells duplicate only by being in an environment that allows that process to happen. Food does not build cells, nor does it build the body. New cells are not produced by food, but by the division of pre-existent cells. The cell does not come from food and does not depend on food. The body is not the product of food and should not depend on food. Food cannot sustain what it cannot produce. Therefore, the body is not the product of food, and it is actually...
I'm sorry, Brennan. Food cannot sustain...
What... Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, food cannot sustain what it cannot produce.
That makes perfect sense.
Right there. Therefore, the body is not the product of food, and it is actually not sustained by food. I got a funny fact for you. Scientists have said that it is more difficult to explain why man should eat than to show why he should never eat.
Can you repeat that?
Scientists have said that it is more difficult to explain why man should eat rather than to show why he should never eat. So it's much simpler to show why you shouldn't eat than why you should. Why is this? Because it is that simple knowing that cells are self-existent and self-sustaining as long as in an environment which allows it to proliferate. Even in a mildly toxic environment, our cells continue to duplicate. If not, then that person would die. If your body isn't making cells, then your body would die. You see it when you get a cut. Even a very obese person, when they get a cut, they're still producing cells. I mean, it's amazing the amount of toxicity that can be going within, and these cells are still duplicating. But at a very lower rate than someone who is not eating food at all, and a very healthy mind,
is in the right environment that isn't being pushed and told it needs, it wants, it desires.
So again, food does not build the cell nor the body. Therefore, neither can food sustain the cell or the body. So guys, with this current knowing, the most important thing than consuming, especially if that's all you've done your entire life, is to eliminate this waste that is stagnated and rotting in your intelligent system. Elimination is much more important than feeding, as the feeding creates blockage, inflammation, and dis-ease. Many refuse to recognize this fact.
Everybody refuses because they're stuck in consumption.
Stuck in consumption.
Yeah.
Constant state of consumption.
They're stuck in consumption because they deserve it. They deserve the ice cream. They deserve the pizza. Guys, you don't understand. Our bodies know that we're not supposed to have. We have been taught to take in these poisons. We have literally been taught to poison ourselves. And the thing that's driving the desire to put all that shit in your face is the parasites that are living in you that were only introduced because your parents shoved toxins in your fucking face. Very simple.
So if food does not produce cells, if all cells of the body are produced by the process of division and subdivision of pre-existent cells, then food does not and cannot nourish and sustain the cells. In that case, cells need no nourishment, cannot receive it nor use it, and are self-existent and eternal. In college today, they teach you that the cells take in nutrients. If food can produce and sustain living cells, if unintelligent matter can produce intelligence, there is no reason why man should not progress infinite capacity.
Started that one over again a couple sentences back.
Alright, if food can produce and sustain living cells, if food could do that, if unintelligent matter can produce intelligence, there is no reason why man should not progress into infinite capacity by virtues of the power residing in the food he eats. Some will still argue with their endless superfluous knowledge.
Yes, which means if you had if you were wealthy and you could afford the best steak in the world and the best fucking milk and the best fruit, right? Then you should be able to live forever if the cells required food to survive. But that's not the case. You are literally poisoning yourself, guys. This is a program. This is so fucking simple. It's ridiculous.
In conclusion, cells do not depend on what man eats nor drinks. They are not nourished, which is an illusion. The cells are far above the nutritional level, are dependent of nutrition, and are self-existent and eternal, which is also proven in a very insightful study, which you can find on the internet. It is called Alexis Carrel's Chicken Heart Tissue Cultures, 1912 to 1946. Take a look for yourself. Cellular immortality is an intrinsic property of all cells. What does intrinsic mean? Intrinsic, belonging to a thing by its very nature. Cellular aging, which has been stated and proven as not being an intrinsic characteristic, but was attributed to external factors such as the accumulation of waste products within the cells.
See, they know this, guys. They know this shit. They know that they're killing you. It's all in the name of consumerism. It's all in the name of keeping you at a low level, because then you're controllable. Then slave think. I mean, oh my God, man. It's fucking ridiculous.
Cells do not age as long as foreign matter is not being put into your body. And guess what? You do not have to be that special person, that pin needle in a haystack, to achieve this. I'll add this in as well. Superhuman is just human. We're just subhuman right now. Okay, now that you've been hit with that, let's come up with an argument. Why does it seem that man dies of starvation when deprived of food? One, because the body, since birth, has adopted to that stimulation. Notice I say stimulation and not nourishment. Mm-hmm. Somatic death results from the shock of the body's being deprived of a certain kind of stimulation. It is the loss of that stimulation which activates that vital machinery of the body, into which stimulation the vital machinery is geared and adopted and accustomed to by reason of ages of practice.
See? So the only reason you're consuming is because it's a practice, because it's a program, because you're used to it, because that's what you were told to do, because it made your parents happy, and the only reason you consume that shit was to make your fucking parents happy, and the fact that when you put your hand over your mouth, they'd pull it away, shove it in your face, and fucking hold your nose and make you swallow it. Think about that.
It only makes sense that as man adopted these new habits through his lifespan, it was necessary for the body machinery to adopt itself to the new practices, or it would perish. This adjustment occurred slowly and gradually as the body yielding to the new habits through the law of accommodation, only when the primary reaction was disregarded and the practice of destruction continued. Each phase of the adaptive process can occur only at the expense of a depression of all the vital functions, which must be injurious if long continued or often repeated. So guys, I'm not saying to instantly drop food and drinks. The way to come about this is with incremental changes, while also coming about it with a holistic approach of mindset, breath, and awareness, as this makes the transition much smoother.
Yes. Mindset, breath, and awareness. Keep your breath under control. You got to have the right mind. You can't be going into this thinking, oh my God, I'm doing something so crazy. Oh my God. And like I said, don't be telling everybody around you. Nobody's going to support you. Nobody's going to they're good. As soon as they find out that you're not eating and you're fasting, all they're going to want to do is shove food into your fucking face.
I was so close to making that transition about 2 years ago. I was rolling 48s, I was in 72s, I was doing 6-day fasts, and I fell back into the programs. But that's because I did not come with the right mindset. I did not come with the knowledge of knowing how this actually works, and so that led me to falling back into that bad habit.
And not only that, but his